hi there, and welcome back to the FACEIT Global Summit as we're about to get into game number 3 of Miramar. They're rubbish. They just don't hold any. Wow. Anyway, my name's Kyle Laris, and to my right-hand side, 2 giggling buffoons in Toffees and Avenger. Gentlemen, we have so far...
You sound like a reality show host.
So far.
Hello there. Welcome to Dating on the Beach.
I'm happy you didn't do the 180 turn looking at the camera like it's an 80s show introduction, you know?
Don't worry. I'll save that for the last days.
Nice.
I'll do the spin, the finger guns, everything. Gentlemen, so far so good. We've had NIP there in the previous game getting themselves not only the chicken dinner, but 12 kills along with it. A high, very, very high kill count off the back of that chicken dinner, which has soared them up in the kind of points gains so far today. And you don't think there's any signs of slowing down so far?
Hopefully not. I mean, I want to see them continue. I want to see them keep the momentum, because that's what you need to do in these short amount of kind of. We only have 6 games today. We have 6 games tomorrow, and it's not a league. You have to be explosive from the start.
Yes, it's not a league. You're right.
Yesterday when we were watching the games, I got the pleasure of bragging about 3 NA teams in the top 6. Where's Envy been today? Well, that's my point. Is like, where's Envy been today?
Yeah, sure.
Where's Tempo Storm at right now?
We saw in last game as well. Moody pulling up in a seemingly pretty good scouting position, but Crusader's already there, and he got killed. And you go down to 3 guys as the first team to lose 1 guy.
And yeah,
right?
I mean, you can't say, like, it wasn't a bad stop for scouting, but that can't be an excuse, right? Excuses are like dirty diapers. Only babies use them. At the end of the day, you got to make the wins happen, whether or not you lose someone in a rotation or you get a bad circle. It's about executing. Yeah,
definitely. So we did actually briefly bring up ENCE, but I want to go from one Finnish team to another Finnish team, as we have 4 more games left today, with Brazilian Crusaders starting off the day strong and NIP getting themselves that chicken dinner just before. And again, do remember, in the middle of all of that, in between the 3 games and the 3 games, we will have that little bit of an extended break so the players can recharge, refuel, get themselves some grub, and that will be nice. But yes, from one Finnish team to another, we had ENCE before. Now I want to talk to you guys about Winstrike. So far in the first 2 games, actually very impressive. 4th place with 6 kills, and then going into game number 2, 5th place with 3 kills. So good by Winstrike so far.
I mean, Winland has impressed me from the get-go. Winstrike had such a good attitude coming into this event. I mean, they said, we didn't even expect to be in the top 4 of PEL Toffees. We've been working really hard to be ready for this thing, so I expect great things out of them.
Yeah, and on top of that, 10 of the 16 guys that are here from PEL is Finnish. So that's pretty impressive as well.
Yeah, very impressive to say the least. Finland's a really good country when it comes to esports. And actually, to be fair, it didn't even used to be that way. It used to be, when it came to Scandinavia, Sweden dominated. Sweden dominated for so long, but Finland has really picked up PUBG extremely powerfully, I suppose.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things, like, for a long time, the sort of Sampti, Jempti duo, the twins, right, were sort of the initial flagship that we saw come out of Finland, and everybody said, wow, these guys are really good. And then all of a sudden we realized, holy cow, there's an entire core of PUBG players that are crazy. I mean, a lot of analysts thought CIS was going to be here dominating in the World Championships because, but teams like Jokers have been really impressive in, like, say, the preseason for PEL. But Finland, for some reason, they've got this ability to sit down, look at what's going on, and adapt very effectively. Both teams have told me a lot of it is they think it's the fact that they can use their native language. I said, how important is it to you to have a full Fin stack when you play? And they said they think it's a really big deal because they can communicate quickly, they understand each other, and they sort of understand the way that they think from a cultural standpoint.
You see a lot of that, actually, in esports. In general, when it comes to Europe especially, being able to use your native tongue, Avenger, is very important when it comes to actually playing in a team as a whole.
Just see, when you guys hear me talk, in Danish, you say it's a potato and everything. I'm just pointing to we have another team also in another sport, and they're doing pretty good. They're also talking native, right? So I definitely think being able to speak in a native language and in your native tongue is really important. And I think we're going to see changes because of that. And I was like, that's why I was surprised that Uber actually got pulled out of CIS and not make it like a power lineup with the best of the best in the CIS. But I mean, I'm happy to see the Winstrike guys being able to do this good, and I definitely think the communication is going to give you 10 seconds extra.
Well, gentlemen, it is time. Game number 3, our final map of Miramar for the day. OMG not doing the best so far. Let's see if our current world champions can make up some room here. Let's head over to Sims and Pansy.
Yeah, it's a bit of an uphill struggle for some of these teams. This is the final game on Miramar. Obviously, Erangel will be coming up afterwards, but it's also final game from us two for today. So this is going to be hopefully somewhat similar to the last game. I loved that last game. That was really exciting for me. It seems that everyone at home enjoyed it too. How about yourself?
Yeah, fantastic, and it's good to see teams, a few different leaders, to be honest with you, and some powerhouses not doing too well. I mean, everyone loves to see an upset. Obviously, the teams and the fans won't, but when you're seeing teams that you don't expect to do so well, stepping it up and kind of putting a spanner in the works, anything's possible. I mean, for some of these teams, actually, we were speaking about the last time, this will be the last Miramar game that they play here at the FACEIT Summit when we talk about groups, because when all this is done, Group B, they have to go and sit and wait in the wings and see what happens with ANC tomorrow, because it will be other teams deciding their fate, essentially.
Yeah, that's a scary one, isn't it? When you're just kind of sat there hoping for the best. But again, my eyes turn towards Tempo Storm and OMG. They're two teams that should be outperforming where they're currently at. I heard the analysis, or one of the analysis desks, saying that he's expecting NIP to kind of springboard forward now. Maybe that little bit of a confidence boost could encourage them to go off. I don't know where to look here. I think we're seeing a lot of teams making these minor adjustments. Hopefully we get that little insight from Scoom and D-Man again about rotations or any small changes, because they are keeping their eyes, trained on the map here. And again, let's see where that circle eventually comes in as well. That will be a huge factor here.
So playing slightly more weighted towards the north. We start off in the northwest and head toward the south. Ends over Impala. So generally speaking, anyone that likes to loot in the south will be having a difficult time and need to reposition. An interesting will be from the Bluebees. One thing I want to note on, which you can see in the left-hand side, OMG, currently sitting at the very dead bottom of the table in Group B here. Now, these individuals have been immortalized on this map since PGI, a long, long time ago. They've literally been immortalized in this map.
I've just seen the circle.
Oh.
Oof. Woof.
Okay, well, yeah, all right, that's an interesting one. There's
a whole lot of water.
There's a potential, Lauren.
I am praying.
There is a potential. James is laughing and giggling.
I want Castaway, I want them on the island. It would be so good.
Oh dear.
Anyone want to, maybe put, I don't know, bets down on if it goes to the islands? Are we hoping for it?
What are we saying? Y'all want an island over there? One, two. Steve's
nice
concentrating on his stats.
Yeah, exactly.
His head down, Martin's waving and all sorts of stuff. If there was a caster cam at the back, you'd be able to see what the analysis are doing right now. They're not quite pulling their hair out, but having a laugh of it. Tempo Storm, though, they're having a laugh.
Well, look, okay, if there's ever going to be a game for Tempo Storm, it better be right now. Like, it better be. They have it all. They have that entire, East Coast, and they know it as well. They know that there's no one else going to be around them particularly quickly. They know that maybe Ents are nearby and potentially Envy, but beyond that, they know they're safe. So again, for them, pick where you want to go.
The hardest thing about this circle, all right, there is a potential for the island circle, but more importantly is that you lose about 55% of entry points into it. You've got all the water there in the north. You've got a bit of a cut-off and a drop-off, which denies any kind of entry point, because once you're into it, you're looking towards a boat. There could be some weird and wonderful things. We actually saw it from Ratio Edge and PL, who decided to get a boat early, just go sit in the water, expecting it.
Stop reminding me of early PUBG. Stop it.
No, that was in PEL.
Exactly, so stop reminding me of early PUBG. I don't want to hear about people sitting in boats and hiding.
I mean, it worked.
Shush.
Well, until one of them killed themselves, but that's a different story. So yeah, this provides a very difficult entry point. You've got that northern coastal road that comes straight down.
Oh, that was some bad driving. That's some bad driving. That's going to be awkward. Especially with an 8 times on a mini, that's very awkward. A couple more. Oh Christ. This is some very poor driving. And we said we're looking at Hulk as a player. VSG just racking up a nice little knock there. And Hulk was a fragger. The man's got some power, but that driving was appalling.
It was questionable. Take that man's license immediately. Because that's basically just buried in. Where are they actually? Okay, so they're just below Oasis. 4
up in the north.
Scoot by. The question, do they? Nah, they won't get aggressive on this. There's no way, right?
Maybe. Where else are they going to go?
Oh my God.
Oh God, VSG. This is dangerous. Okay.
No fear.
Maybe they should have some fear. I don't know if I like this. VSG are getting hyper aggressive on this one, and the spores arrive for AG. They are not alone here anymore, and they're going to be walking in towards teams in cover. Honboy are going to instantly deny the first man step forward. Damage lives up to that name, puts down a whole lot of it, and this is absolutely falling apart.
Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. They decided to push a team of 4 as James puts his head in his hands.
James liked this team.
Why would you do that? That you can hear the vehicles rolling up on the hillside. They didn't even get behind them. It's an uphill struggle. You were ready to receive that fight. No.
But maybe they're tilted from that last game. You lose out in that situation where you could have been more aggressive. Keep in mind that was, I don't know.
If you're going to do that, at least do it after you've knocked him straight away and commit to it.
Yeah,
You've got to
I
play
agree.
it down. Like letting him get back on his feet.
I'm not supporting it, Richard. I'm just saying it's kind of likely they're a bit tilted from the last game where they weren't assertive. They didn't take the initiative, and NIP did nasty things to them. So now they're just making rash decisions that clearly have backfired, or it's just because James likes them.
I mean, there is that.
Probably one of the two.
It's the ginger curse.
It is known.
It is known.
Push the high ground. Doesn't go well. Right, what do we have going on? Who is on rotation early on? Actually, quite a lot of teams. Well, it's not surprising. I mean, especially with this circle. There's not much to be taken. That's the scary part, isn't it?
It's when people start to think like one another, where it becomes scary. Everyone's like, okay, well, we can take a southern road
I've
here.
seen something scary. Player Unknown just put in chat, Island Circle. I feel, if there's ever going to be a time to make something happen.
The Brendan curse.
Exactly. It's
not
all
only
fun
does
and games when we say it.
It's when we're playing on the esports server and a red zone appears. It's like, ha ha ha, laughs in
is
Player Unknown. I have arrived.
Look, it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. Look, if the next circle just slowly moves east, I'm going to...
Just yoinks all the way onto the island.
Already.
Yeet.
A couple of shots. We'll see rotation shots here. Some might get caught out if they actually aren't careful on their routes. That's the one thing, because, again, a lot of people will be going for the prime cuts of real estate so far, which there won't be much left of in maybe the next 30 seconds. A lot of teams putting their scouts into place. So you've got to be scared for the teams looking for that. A lot of teams banking that it's not going to go as far east as we were expecting or hoping or praying or wanting.
I mean, for some people, they might enjoy it.
Who's sadistic enough?
Anyone who, I mean, we've seen it before where there is 2 options to this one. We'll just discuss it while people are still rotating around. The 2 options would be you get a boat and you go get on the island and you wait for everyone else to arrive. We've seen that for teams not pay off. Or you basically sit on the beachhead and just murder everybody on arrival. There is 2 ways to play it. Tempo Storm and banking on it not happening because they've gone further afield into the center of the circle. If it does, this is where it kind of becomes a bit preemptive. By the time we get to Circle 4, if there's still water in play, you can predict where the circle's going to be near enough because you know where it's going to shift and there'll be only a small amount of land to actually fit itself into. So if there's still water in play and we are on the main head of the island by Circle 4, that's when it gets really spicy because everyone knows where the circle's going, so they'll all center up, get ready for it, and then it becomes a real massacre. Everyone just piles in, gets center, squares up and says, right, let's have it, boys. It's going to be a fun job. 4am are in the circle. AG still not in there. They're in the north. VSG, the remnants who was left behind, they'll unfortunately might get the blunt end at the back of Los Leones. They will have to heal up because they've been playing off the blue. Unfortunately, Brazilian Crusaders are right behind them, so that could be a very early bath for them.
Yeah.
OMG going down south. You got Windstrike lingering around there. And at the moment, it's a bit of a chill game. Everyone's just setting up for what happens next because the next circle could really just throw everything in the wind.
Yeah, exactly. I think so far you're still fine. It's bated breath time, right? Everyone's just waiting to see if it happens.
I don't know how this goes. Everyone's banking on it kind of happening, but who knows? Who knows?
Indeed. I'm curious. And in this sort of game, I'm still looking at OMG and Tempo Storm. You can't keep your eyes off Tempo Storm because they need to start delivering more than what they were. That's still something as an underlying factor. They're so central on the circle, it's unbearable. They're in the perfect position. They have a couple of teams nearby. They've got a little 2-2 split. Richard, it's close. It's close. There's still Richard. It's still close, but surely.
I enjoy memes. They are the best thing about 2019.
Thank you, Brendan.
Lull. Oh.
Okay, so I think as we love to see these circles, I think we need to go down to Scoom and D-Man. Hopefully you guys are ready because I know you love to see this. Guys, your thoughts?
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy right now. And we're looking at 4 a.m. But 4 a.m. were literally on the top, on the northern coast by the boats. They were ready for this. Airwolf 7 are doing the exact same. But this is shrink. It's still a 50-50. You think it won't pull away?
I don't think it will go. Normally when it's an island shrink, it goes far more east, and it's a little bit more east on the first circle anyway. So I believe it's not going to shrink, but we do see Aerowolf holding down.
Yeah, back to you guys, I think, because 17 and AFF are going at it.
Awesome, thank you so much. And indeed, Scoom is a doubter, but we do not doubt it for a second. AFF are up for the fight, and 17 Gaming just got ripped to shreds. Where's that remaining member? There's a man knocked, but where's... Oh, YY's just gone down to a completely different team. That's 17 Gaming gone.
Yeah, somewhere in the back, Ibiza's shouting, "Pull up, boys!" And they do. They get out the cars. They slam them into 16th place. That's not good. Ugh, 16th, you never want to see it. Looks like 4 a.m. are preempting the island circle. They're getting ready. They've got the boats and they're heading out. Aerowolf have just picked up the AWM, but NIP are actually knocking on the door. They'll see them lingering on the coastline here. I would say that there is more water in play there. If you're looking at the 50-50 swing of what's actually is, there is definitely a possibility here. The bigger possibility and the bigger story, let's talk about this one. If it doesn't go to the island, Lauren, because of the shape of the map and how it is, you will be able to predict the circle by circle 4. And at the moment, Impala and surrounding areas, that's open territory. That's where it's going to be looking at heading towards. NIP have read it. They've taken the northern edge. AG are slowly but surely working their way in.
There's a lot of room they've got in the north there.
Down south is no room at all. That's completely opposite end of the spectrum.
And you've got 4 teams coming in from the south.
Exactly. This is where people could start to set up a patrol. Windstrike could play border control and essentially just block 3 teams. We've got OMG, we've got Bluebees, we've got the Brazilian Crusaders. Oh, it's going to get messy all over this one.
Tempo Storm have just lost out on players. Zampa and Sharky are trying to stem the bleed, but they're down to 3 already. This is, again, scary times for them. They aren't away from the threat just yet either. There is still plenty available as Sharky is doing what we expect Sharky to do, which is getting frags on the board, but the threats are still close by. Maybe trying to clear out as they go, find out if there's anyone else near enough to cause problems. It seems as though they're safe for now. Wait, we've just seen OMG. Is that a boat problem?
No, I don't. Where are they? Where are they?
Yeah, I actually know where OMG are. Oh, they're down in the south, excuse me.
Yeah.
That was just a car. That was just a...
Unfortunately, Xiao Hai's down. Windstrike, you can see this coastal road could be the death of many players if they set up, because there is a bottleneck here. You've got MP5 one side, Windstrike on the other. Now, death from the blue. Windstrike still. The last player lingering around. You can see the boats already. Nook is like, we got a water Uber over there just waiting. Get ahead of the game, does see him, and it doesn't happen. But now, because of the water, you know where the circle's going to be shifted. It goes towards the land in the next one, and this is where people will square up. This is a fight for prime territory, and at the moment, that construction yard, well, it's smack bang in the center. This is going to be an absolute cluster of a game.
All right, who's got the best territory right now? NIP in a good spot, AG in a good spot, AFF, ENF, so many in the kill feed you're seeing right now. VARD's just been confirmed by AG as well. NIP losing out on some of the players. There is going to be fights everywhere, so I'm sure we'll be jumping around at this point. You're going to have to keep your eyes on your favorite teams as we can try and keep you up to date. But 4 a.m. in the boats, they went for the island. It didn't pan out. They're on the move. The north side still has room, but not central. The Brazilians, middle of the road, about to be made into roadkill if Windstrike catch a glimpse of this. But actually, Jorski goes down. Nookie responds to Raspu. This is Windstrike trying to apply pressure from afar.
Angle. He's literally beached the boat and built himself a mini fort that he can get an angle off of them. Windstrike, gotta be careful. Look at that grenade. It's cooked, it's ready, it's lowballed, it goes over the edge. It's a bit too far. But now they've got the warning shot of where it came from, so they should have some sort of information that there is players directly above them. Stims come out, smokes go up. They're utilizing all their utility here, but is it a waste? Because they are nowhere near the circle. They have got quite a lot of a way to go up that main road, and there are still teams going to be ahead of them, so it's all right doing this straight from across, just on the trenches, but 1 FPS. I think he's going to bail from this one and try and stay alive.
Timmy going to find one of the Brazilians, as it does seem as though they are on the run. Just going to try and get out of there, get towards the circle. It was a scrappy fight from what they had. The positioning, again, keeps getting more and more condensed and busy. Impala has currently 3 teams dedicated towards it. I guess you could argue one of them's a little further out on the side, but Envy and Tempo Storm, we're going to see a big clash here potentially. If they keep hearing these shots and pushing around that hill, I don't know if they'll do it, but there's certainly a potential for it.
Yeah, for most of these teams at the moment, it's not about getting
there he
offensive
goes.
and
That's the
aggressive.
Brazilian Crusaders gone.
Ugh, okay, well, first from the start of this map and out in 15th towards the end of it. Not good at all, but for most of these teams, AFF, NIP, ENS and ENF, ENSUS, it's going to be pretty much defending your ground here. Through Impala up to that construction scrapyard area, they are prime territory. They've got lots of cover. They have lots of maneuverability to be able to move back and forth and exit should they have to. But you have to stand your ground. NIP lost a player during that while going into it, but they committed to it and just dove on it.
Anyone going to go for it? Anyone feeling brave?
That's the second arm in the water. Is this Brendan just throwing out bread and hoping someone takes it as bait?
He didn't give us the island, so, you know.
That's the water arm.
Anyway, we are obviously just memeing out. We are waiting to see if anyone would dare crash anything right now where that forceful circle is going to push. And my word, VSG have a lot of room to work with, but not a lot of players. Now, who's in good position? NIP again retain very nice positioning here.
And again, because it is Circle 4, you'd expect the hard shift. He always will fly away from the water because of the multiplier that is in the settings. Where it could have gone is a different one. There's generally an unwritten rule that people say about cities. You don't get really any city centrals endings, so we'll always pull away from them, generally speaking. We don't know that for a fact, but when you watch and do
just
the math,
feel,
you
isn't it?
never see them. You just don't see them. You see them shifting away from it. Unattainable hills, water, towns, cities, things like that. So I think we might have an open one here. It's rough terrain, Lauren. There's also the inaccessible rock in the middle, so that won't be in.
Yeah, and look at Envy and Tempo Storm. They're going to be pushed right next to each other. Ooh, you can hear those steps. Lambu's heard those going past. Indigo, 24 to hand, looking for anyone to peek around. He's going to spot one. That's one of the AFF players. And Lambu's heard this. Yaks can be checking on it, but doesn't check that far. Lambu's got an angle. Going to spot out one call. Going to be made. You can always see that communication happening in the background. AG are flying towards VSG, and pushing into the building is a mistake. Oh, one. Oh, a second for Lambu. Able to confirm to one. Can he stay alive? Is he okay enough to heal up? Is there anyone instantly going to apply pressure? No. He's got to heal off.
That's disgusting. Just holds his point, but there's no response whatsoever as they keep on coming, and they're just getting melted.
Look at that support from the back lines. Lambu was isolated, but the crossfire, the positioning was in place from his teammates. Style was there. You saw that mini on that kill feed instantly holding his safety. If he got pushed sooner, he was dead.
Blue Bees about to get lit up on arrival, unfortunately for them. They've landed directly against OMG, playing border control here. They can force them back. We have a look at Windstrike's POV, who've spotted Tempo Storm. Sharky, he might be named after a fish, but we're not playing near water at the moment. He falls back, will get his health kicked up. We need to take a quick check-in with OMG because Blue Bees are pushing directly upon them, and there may be an opportunity for a third party from ENS who are just littered up straight up north, all the way from Impala.
Yeah. A couple of shots though going back and forth. Tempo Storm is still trying to say like they need these points in the relation of where they stand currently on the kill feed.
Circle as well.
Exactly, this is their perfect game. Temmie is having none of it. He's spread out so much. Oh, it's the killing fields right now. Sharky goes down. Your boy Dre goes down. Another complete travesty for Tempo Storm, down to one man now. How is he going to keep these guys away? Nuki's probably getting revived right now by Tixu. Exactly what's happened. Temmie just had to play the line, and he went beyond what he had to do. Zampa apply some pain, but the response is there. And how are they going down in 14th place? Tempo Storm have fumbled it again.
It's not good. It's actually unacceptable from North America's #1 team coming in after what you've done throughout the NPL. They need to go back to the drawing board and reassess this one. We will be moving after this towards Erangel, so we'll see if they can perform better. We know they love the West Coast. They've been there since day one of PUBG. Should be better territory, but that's for this afternoon right now. It's all about this circle. It's wild and wonderful. One thing I will be disappointed, Lauren, feel free to jump in because it's going to get wild.
Yeah.
And IGL should be recognizing there is inaccessible land within this circle. The circle should be moving away from that big rock in the middle because you literally can't get up there. So this should, maybe, there's potential it shifts and goes towards AG.
Maybe. I mean, See, this is the thing. I don't know how calm some of these guys are under pressure. Sometimes these decisions they're going to be making are literally within seconds of each other. Who's in the good spots right now, Rich? Who stands out to you? Who's got having good positioning as it stands?
I mean, you can play off the back of the rock and you can cover your backside by having no one shooting you. But for me, it moves away from this one. This circle has to go to the north. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but because it's inaccessible terrain, you can't get on top of that cliff. It should go north. So in theory, you have to say, AG, they've got a 4-man stack. They're chilling in the north. If they overextend their reach, they could really control pretty much all of the northern circle.
Speaking of control, AFF in the southern side of the circle, essentially with ENCE, going to be gatekeeping the entirety of the teams leaving Impala. You have ENCE now trying to make a run for it. You have MB5 trying to make a move for it. Envy moving for it. Windstrike, ENF, all outside of the circle and have to get past AFF. They are the only ones in right now of all the teams we just discussed, and they have this dirty little ridgeline to play off. MB5 gonna spread it out, but it's not easy to work your way in, and yeah, you know what you're in for, Fong. Playing that smart, gonna try and not give away too much, maybe try and allow someone else to go in first, and then you work off the back of that information. Gonna get the tag suppressed.
Windstrike, Envy, and MP5 all have to go across the road. Windstrike's been caught out for now. Fong puts a few bullets down, but that'll alerted everyone else to his presence there. AFF are literally on the opposing side of the road here, sat in buildings, waiting with open arms. This is, if they see every player crossing the road, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kills, easy.
The nade!
Randy nade from nowhere. Who was that? Timmy?
Yep.
That's a distance as well.
Yeah, Gaxi finding Temet. This is the trades coming back in. NIP starting to wind up here as well. It looks like Aerowolf got a little into the fight and then got wiped out of it. They were up towards the northeast side of things. We're still keeping eyes towards the south. OMG could fold onto ENCE. ENCE could then struggle against VSG potentially and AFF. And you can see these shots here. ENCE so far are drilled in vision, locked towards Envy. Moody on the receiving end of Mikas. That's going to be really stinging, but there's so many other players here. That was stolen.
Yeah,
KK.
literally. You have to make sure that you confirm these kills. As soon as you put a body on the floor, it's an open point for anybody that's just lingering in the distance. So IMG, they say, well, thank you very much. You've put him down. We'll stick him in the grave. Nails it shut on Moody's corpse, unfortunately. Mikas still far up here for ENCE. Starlord in the middle, you can see with the M24. Looking to do some damage from that cliff face if he does spot anyone in the open. But ENCE are also in the same position of AFF, where they can just play their game and let everyone arrive to them. Just a note on ENCE as well, they've gone for a 2-2 split. It's questionable to do it late game, but they've put themselves for the
Venerated
circle, ready to receive it.
Oh, Venerated, this is horrible. And OG and ENCE's force, he's not taking the shot. He doesn't know he's the only one last alive here for Envy. He could have maybe jumped a spot potentially. That's a mistake from Kale. He didn't know any better. He didn't have the information we do. Venerated does not want to move. He wants to stay very, very still and hope that AFF look elsewhere. Some of the ENCE players starting to look central. We see Starlord again with a nice gun to hand. This time finds Miraku. That's going to be a nice bit of revenge for him.
And more importantly, that will slow down NIP. Ooh. And by doing that, the third party comes in. AG have got a line of sight from the north. They've been standing their ground for quite some time. Mikas forced to take the engagement on OMG as they are encroaching on their position. Again, it will be a 4 versus 2 essentially. Starlord again, squeaky this time. Takes the full force of the M24.
That's the central players basically removed, I'm pretty sure. The ENCE had a couple pushed up. I think there might be one more over there.
What cover do they have? I mean, they've got the... That's a different team, actually, excuse me. Which might be an interesting one as AG have to make something happen.
Starlord is going off this time. It looks like he is really starting to want to come into this. He is landing shot after shot at the moment, and he wants to confirm these kills. That's the issue, I guess, with the 24 and all the other guns. You can get the knocks, but getting the kills is the harder factor.
Do the engagement here. Duckman's gone for an off angle, and everybody else can hold NIP dead to rights with the gun. As I say that, ENCE turn around and say thank you very much. Try and take the off angle. We'll take you out of the game. That ain't no problem whatsoever. Mikas and Trafele, they know. They have the remnants of OMG just lingering over the corner. And what a player to be facing off against Lion KK. I mean, the man is
I'm
a
worried
bit of
about
a
NIP
magician.
here, Rich, because they've kind of, it feels like they've rested on their laurels a bit.
They were slowed down by Starlord all the way across. That one M24 bullet basically just put them in a position where, okay, well, we have to res now. We're on the move. The blue's on the back. There's nowhere really, in my opinion, for NIP to go. They would have to take a fight against AG, delete them from the server, and then take their position.
This is so nice. Let's see if he works out. 8 times on, he knows the perfect shot from Starlord. This guy is a beast. We doubted him. We looked at what happened before, and you can't blame us, but now he's showing off what he can do with those scope guns. Gaxi still finding the good fight, trying to force his way forward, but he gets caught out. That's started again towards MBS. This guy's racking up points. He only has 1 confirmed kill, but I'm sure his damage is going to be huge.
That's some sweet, sweet revenge. From the previous game, he didn't do anything to NIP. This time, no holds barred. Pins them back, dead to rights. Job done. They're out of the game. AG now will be forced the engagement, looking for the smoke player, but I don't think he's actually there. AFF, it's time to shine and show what you can do. You've been sat in this game for so long, kind of biding your time.
Yep.
Will the circle go your way? No, it doesn't. They have to move forward. They've got ENCE and OMG to the left-hand side. VSG, remember, all the way at the start, they lost two players straight off the back, and they've made it all the way to the late game. They've got the guns. They're going to have utility. They've not wasted any grenades or smoke, so that you should have thought they have them.
What is the play here? For me, ENCE are in a perfect spot. I love this 2-2 split. They might lose out on one half of the 2-2 split, but they're going to make it difficult for one of the teams, right? Rust and Mar, I think it's Squeaky, in the small central area. They're just going to hold off as long as they can. Hopefully, hoping the Star-Lord and his teammate just keep applying this pressure and being a nuisance. AFF are going to fight against the remainder of OMG and ENCE down towards the south. That was some real control. Style finds Trifoli. Nade's going to be following up on this too, and Mikas isn't far, but he's not in the same position.
All right, death squad, here we go. Time to mop up. 10 kills in the bag. I stand corrected. I said they haven't done too much, but 10 kills is 10 points. Job done. Still
Mikas.
2 more. He will now fall to the boot as well. Shadow, does he know that OMG, the last player, is lingering? If they can deal with the snake in the grass, then they'll control the entire side of the circle.
Lion KK going to do what he can on the way out here, but he does eventually go down to the blue, and Lambu in combination, the damage too much, as AFF still potentially can have 4 players alive with 12 kills. We have 4 teams left, Richard. We are down to the final couple of players.
There'll be no angle from VSG because they're on the opposing side of that mountain rock area, whatever you call it, canyon. So
what other gun does Star-Lord have? Do we know?
I didn't cop for it, no.
Is it 7 or 5?
I'm interested to see what gear he's got. Like,
yeah.
You know, these guys have been playing late game. They've only got 1 kill, but compared to what happened at the start of the game from them, they were just smashed into oblivion. And now all of a sudden you're rocking an M24 and 8 times. I mean, GG, buddy. 3 nades in the bag, so no smokes, no utility.
Okay, so we have AFF and AG. That is from like north to south here. AFF have so much going for them. They are in such a good position. Star-Lord trying to readjust, get an angle deeper in towards the little hut. Doesn't quite get the glimpse he wants towards ENCE, but AFF is still the threat here in my eyes, that they have so much to work with. Utility is a big factor here, though. I don't see any smokes on Star-Lord. He's spawning so much out as well, though. And there's the shrink. It's he's hitting the shots on the little feet.
No fear.
And Shadow finds it as well with the SKS. So with the new circle coming in, it is ENCE who holds it, though.
Just instas in with a 24. Picks up another point.
He can land this.
Did he see him?
It needs to be a little higher on the shot, I think, for the drop to work out.
Lucky.
There it is. That's a tag. One more is going to get the knock. There it is. Star-Lord is starting to come into his own. That is 3 kills now. And of course, damage does not equate to getting points. But it starts getting scary when you see that name on the kill feed time and time again. But what do people have here? AFF have an open field. VSG have an open field. ENCE have a hut. There is not much to play from, but AFF have players standing in already. ENCE are going to be choosing their fight. Star goes down. The replies are coming back in. Rusterman, you better bang these shots perfectly. Confirms on Style. That's huge, but they don't want all the attention. They're hoping that the other teams also get a fight going.
So they can get angles on both of them here.
They're losing out on the deep angle. They're losing out on Shadow's angle.
Really exposed here. VSG have got a really open ground to run, so this could be a bit of a picking field.
This is
the
nice.
2 top fraggers.
So Rustamon just put down a smoke, basically, I think, to keep that side safe. He's going to be... The problem is that they're going to eventually allow too many of these deep angles to come through, especially from AFF, but they don't have time on this, really, AFF. They need to start going fast, and Star-Lord... Oh, patience, patience. He's trying to wait it out, but maybe waited too long. He's down to a one-shot. Rustamon is not going to give that up.
I respect the challenge. There was nothing else he could really do. Hope that ENCE stick the head out and maybe get a pick, which allowed them to advance up, but ENCE are having none of it. I like that you mentioned the pre-smokes as well, Lauren, that built themselves some sort of safety net.
And they still have more. If they take their time and play it smart and play it calm like they're doing, they have a good chance. 2 smokes still left, grenades still left. Their utility management has been perfect. Now, confirming onto NN. We are down to 2 remainders for AFF. We have what? Shadow and Lambu against Rustamar and Squeaky.
Shadow's been doing some serious work, though, with his SKS. I mean, 8 times on the back of it, so
God,
it comes
they're
down.
trading.
It's just a Rangers game, right? It all comes down to who's the
Shadow.
bigger marksman.
Shadow's just out in the open.
Brazen.
And he's gone down. This is a 2v4 and it works out for Ents. Right at the end, the nade came through. They held their utility so well. That is patient play from the Finns. That's the stoic nature you expect to finally see.
We just see a wild Kobe just trickle its way to the feet of an AFF player and completely decimates him for the win. GG. Everyone's had their eyes on the Finns, wondering, okay, Europe's #1 team coming into this. Where have they been so far? Because it hasn't been the best 2 days. I mean, honestly, you'd have to think, do they actually want to play in this relegation? Is that just a really good scrim for them going towards the grand finals? But I tell you what, that's a certified win. 11 points as well, a 21-point game. That will send them flying up the leaderboard.
They played that so well. The control they had of being so aware of that final circle, knowing their weak points and their strengths, how to play that out. And it was a kind of a 2v4 towards AFF, and then they had VSG with 2 players. Obviously, they had help. It wasn't just one of them going off. Rustamar did get 7 kills, but the way they kept in mind, eventually, obviously, if you're playing out from 1 point, that hut, there is a deep angle in the circle that you cannot control anymore. You lose your cover. And they used those smokes so well. They didn't use them too early, but they used them at the right time. And they isolated. I think it was Shadow going on that deeper play. I loved it. I really did. I'm so happy to see them there and playing well off the back of it. OMG finally making it slightly later game, but again, not the OMG that I expected coming into this.
I'll tell you what, AFF so far have been consistent.
They have.
That's another 2nd placement today alone. They had a pretty, if I'm not mistaken, a pretty good game yesterday. They came into the competition today in 3rd position overall. All right, This is their 2nd group phase. Well, you know, we have to remind people of that. They'll definitely have an advantage on other ones. But I think maybe now, because you had STK and 17 gaming in front of them, that might have taken them top of the table. They're playing a really, no wins in the bag, but 3rd place is for, I'm not entirely sure what their lowest placement is so far, but
I'm not sure.
They are a consistent team.
They're starting to look scary. They're a name I didn't look at, and suddenly I'm going to have to keep looking. And these guys are racking up points for the team who racked up the most points and finally showed that you can play a bit of PUBG. Thank you for doing it. Is Ents sitting towards the top. I'm so glad to see them there. Finally, they put up a big performance, put up big numbers. I think it's enough from us. We are done for the day. We're going to go chill out, enjoy Erangel coming up next. But before that, you get to hear from the delightful one. And you thought I was going to say Freya. It's actually Squeaky. We're really excited to see him. Go down to the stage.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Yes, I'm down here with the winning side Ents. That was such an intense final fight. Can you talk me through what happened there?
Yeah, like we basically know that there was 2 different teams that are fighting at the hill, so we just need to figure out who's going to die first, so then we can just concentrate the other team. So we just needed to chill a bit in the shack, so then we know that we saw the other team died, so then we can play more aggressively on the north side of the shack and take just duels with the enemy.
So yesterday you had a somewhat disappointing set of results. What changed coming into today?
I don't know, it was, yesterday I was like, we were doing some stupid stuff, but yeah, now we're doing better now.
Do you think it's just a case of getting warmed up, getting ready? And also, you're facing a somewhat different group of teams. You're facing Group C today. Did that make a difference for you at all?
Not really. Just need to focus more and just focus more.
I mean, you looked pretty calm there, just looking at your team comms right at the end. Is that sort of common for you? Are you quite a calmed and composed team?
In that scenario, yeah, we were pretty calm because we didn't have to do fights and stuff, so we just we made our way inside the zone, so we just need to chill. But in the different kind of fights, we are kind of loud.
I mean, so we're going to be going into Erangel next for the next 3 games. Are you guys looking confident for that?
Yeah, definitely. The wins helps a lot. You get your confidence boost. Now we're going to have a little lunch break, so we can just gather some thoughts on how we're going to play in Erangel. So it's good.
Is there anything you've been particularly preparing for that, or you're focusing on?
Excuse me?
Is there anything you've been preparing going into the next 3 maps?
Yeah, we have some new strats.
Can you give me any secrets? Anything you can reveal?
Just take honest.
Okay, well, we're going to see exactly what goes down in our next 3 maps. We're going to be going for a quick break, but before that, let's head to James at the desk.
As we said past couple of days, #trivial for Ents. Not too bad there to be able to get themselves that chicken dinner. Plenty of kills to boot as well. 11 coming in for them. Joining me, Toffees as well as Avenger. Toffees, good stuff by Ents to get the recovery.
Great stuff by Ents. Like, all right, so yesterday we were very hard on them, myself in particular. I think that however they handled it well. They came out to Miramar very, very well. They've raised their points per game from 2 yesterday on Miramar to 11.3 at this point. That's a massive improvement. And the bad news for everyone else is yesterday actually had a decent, I said 6 points per game is where I think that target's going to be. They were almost there on Erangel yesterday. They were doing about 5.3. So if we see the same improvement from them in the second half of the games today that we saw in the first half, that's implying maybe a 15-point per game situation for them. And they'd be right up next to SDK as 2 dominating teams in this tournament so far.
So I gave them a challenge yesterday. We talked a bit about it, and they said, I told them, you have to be above shoot to kill. Now that they're not playing, it should be possible, they said. So they're on a pretty good run so far. I'm happy to see them kind of step up. And also Squeaky acknowledging that they had a bad day yesterday, and they are changing some stuff. He said they did some stupid stuff. And if you acknowledge that, then you're on a really far way. You said yesterday, definition of insanity is...
We're doing the same thing over and over.
Yes, and expecting different results. And now they're changing their stats. We saw them. There also their changes to how they're doing different rotations and how they're kind of approaching differently. And it's really surprising to me because they actually have a lot more pressure in their area. Enter's Force is close to them. Tempo Storm is close to them. So them being able to pull this off is obviously great.
I mean, I think that's part of the problem right now is Tempo Storm is close to them, and that's causing some issues for Tempo Storm perhaps because they're having a very tough day. They're the opposite side of the coin. They are actually in a worse spot now than Ents was in yesterday at this stage of the game. So they need to pick it up. But I do want to give another big shout out to Windstrike. Remember we said that average 6 points is what I'm looking for. They're averaging higher than that right now, and we're not talking about them because they went out in 10th place in that last game. But they got 6 kills. They went out in 6 before that, but they got 5 kills. So Windstrike's a little bit quieter about the whole thing, but is still playing an incredibly high level of PUBG.
Yeah, I felt like that was their entire road through PEL, actually. Just quiet about it and casually, nonchalantly, then ended up getting in the top 4. Very good stuff by them. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here from game number 3 of day 2, of course, as that was our final map of Miramar. And another team that we really have to highlight here at the desk was Africa Freaks Fatal. 13 kills to boot coming into that last game, get second place.
And so far today, 36 points. That's 12. Not as good as shoot to kill height overall yesterday, but still very impressive considering how much pressure they've had today and how different the circles we've had. I mean, we were very close to having I think all of us, maybe everyone was kind of crossing their fingers to get one of these fantastic island circles because they're so interesting to watch. And there's a lot of teams that kind of prepared for that as well. We saw 4am already out there when there was still only like a 50-50 chance of us seeing it, but I don't really think Africa, they did fantastic. I think they played well. They came in, they sweeped in on the southern side and got so many kills from that.
Yeah, I mean, I think making that move early was a big bit of a mistake there for 4am. But I get it. I think people are a little gun shy. And you got to say, we wanted the islands because every circle the analyst wants is often the least favorite circle of the players themselves. They hate making do, but we love watching them struggle.
Very much so. And Ents was able to round things out. At the eye on the prize, this highlight's brought to you by NVIDIA. Great stuff overall in the end for our final game of Miramar, of course. A team that I'd love to highlight, but I'm going to allow you guys to do it, and I'll just bring it up as a subject. VSG started awfully that game, but actually managed to recover some of the situation in that game.
They managed to recover beautifully, and if they had more guys alive towards the end, and they didn't there were 2 guys, right? And they, in the end, and they didn't go into salvage mode. We saw so many shots still coming out, a lot of damage output as well, putting so much pressure onto NIP specifically. And we talked about this before as well. I was surprised that NIP didn't move out early, but it's because of the pressure coming out from Starlord with the M24.
I would kill to see what his overall damage was in that match because I think Freya put him on the spot and said, well, why don't you take that shot? And I think every time he pulled the trigger in the last one, he was like, I took that shot. I took that shot.
There you go, Freya.
He was putting in work. I mean, and he didn't get a ton of kills necessarily, but he opened the doors for a lot of teams down there to sort of finish things, push forward. And it was, you'd actually see it. You would see Starlord hit somebody, and everyone would like deal with that, and then the team on the opposite side would advance a little bit. So everybody was kind of using using him to their advantage.
A little bit of retribution, I guess. He got 3 kills in the end after being in that awful position, and he actually really hindered the progress of Armory Gaming, who were the ones that actually killed them off twice, 2 people at the beginning of the game. But anyway, let's take a look at the X factor of the match, of course, brought to you here by HyperX and their beautiful RAM, of course, as well, as we take a look what we have. What's in store? It's a spray from Hulk, from VSG, my boys, yes! I'm always happy to see VSG.
I guess it's got to be why they went ahead and picked it. They knew how much you love watching Death and Destruction. But that comes down to, I don't really know what they were doing there. They jumped in the car, they tried to pull it forward, and they tried to drive it backwards the whole time. Bullets are flying. And when you've got that incredible RAM, it's easy to get those headshots inside of the truck. And they saw every step of the way as he was switching seats, I think. He was trying to make it move and still survive, and it just wasn't working.
It's so rough to drive uphill anyway. Like it goes so slow, and especially with an 8X Mini, you're gonna smash them out of the car in some time.
Especially on Miramar, it can be tough. So, from our 3 games of Miramar, what have you extrapolated? What information have you gained so far here when it comes to how, especially Group C, how they've been able to play out on Miramar? Any thoughts?
So we had some really interesting circles. First of all, we have far western one, then we go to the middle, and then we go to the east. So it's kind of all over the place, which doesn't kind of benefit any teams.
Yeah.
But I want to say this: I expected Temperstorm to be doing a bit better on Eastern Circle because they usually dominate those.
Yeah.
We've seen insane amount of kill games from them, winning them and putting themselves into kind of positions where they are. But Windstrike, they came in, they played really well, they took a high ground position on them. But overall, from Miramar, I really like to see how they are rotating. I like to see when we see the kind of the hardships going away, they come in some with really clever rotations, and a lot of teams doing that. And I think at some point, there will be too many teams doing that. We saw that in the first games. We saw 3 teams going really far north, and I think if teams keep coming in that slow, I think it's going to be an issue later.
It reminds me of the north of the river scenario in Erangel yesterday, this sort of overpopulation. But if we started today with an NPL circle, we definitely ended with PEL circles, right? One with cliffs, one with water, and that's sort of been the story of day 1 and day 2 for me as well. We started the tournament with an NPL day. It seems like we're going to be wrapping up day 2 with a PEL day if things keep going this way.
It's been a great start to day number 2 for me, and we have far more to come as well, as we have 3 more matches left to go. We've already concluded our first 3 with Brazilian Crusaders, NIP, and ENTS finally getting themselves on the scoreboard. We are going to go to a little bit of a prolonged break, I think, and we're going to be back at 3:45 GMT when things get on going. Or is it BST? It's BST. There you go. I just checked that for you. And also, then we will have Erangel, 3 matches of that as Groups B and C continue to go to war on everything as things are going to be going on. We're going to have a lunchtime show in 10 minutes' time as well. But for now, I believe we're going to be heading down over to Frankie, who's at the stage, who has some treats and delights for us, one would say.
Thank you very much, Claris. The treat and delight that I'm drawing attention to right now is our chair. Vertigear have sponsored this event. All our players are using their products. And Vertigear are actually the creators of the first wirelessly controlled RGB gaming chair, so you guys can game in style. Now, as Claris mentioned, we have got a halftime show for you. It's going to be hosted by Freya with Demon and Scoom. So don't go anywhere, because we're going to keep you entertained while the players chow down on some lunch.
to take you on and pick your bones. Bring it all back to you. 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 Bring it all back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the FACEIT Global Summit, where I am Freya and I am back here again with our lunchtime show. And of course, I couldn't do it without the wonderful Scoom and D-Man. I loved it yesterday. We had some really good talks, some really good analysis, especially considering you guys, you are our resident reporters, so you guys are watching all the action. You get to see everything backstage there. How has that been going, D-Man?
It's been great. Yeah, it's a bit longer today though. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
We can calm down a little bit today and take a time. But yeah, we have the great part of that fact we have like 10 different screens in front of us. It's great. We have all the angles. So what obviously you guys are seeing what the best of it, what Ansvar picks from, but we get to see all of it, which sometimes does give us a little bit of more insight. Like yesterday, we saw what 17 Gaming were carrying and they got blown up, yet they had this massive amount of grenades and utility. And these are sometimes things that we can't always translate in the broadcast itself. So it's great. It's got that little insight.
And what about you, Scoom? You've been enjoying yourself so far?
Yeah, it's been good. Like Demon says, it's good to get all the different angles and seeing basically the backstage and how it all... Hearing the observers as well is very impressive to hear them, how they get into the action, because they're doing an amazing job. I think a lot of people are praising them, and we can feel it at the back as well. They're doing a really good job.
There's 3 ex-pro players in that. I felt a little sorry for X because, Richard was, kind of dumping on his old team, NIP. Obviously, NIP Gaming are here. Well, he's in the first iteration of NIP, but he's doing a great job, I was observing.
Well, some nice words there from you guys. We are going to take a look at Group C. I believe we can get our standings and scorings up, because we haven't heard too much from you and your opinions on some of these teams. That's what I'm really interested in. D-Man, do you want to start us off? Is there anybody...
The desk hit on it. Obviously, Africa Freaks Fatal. The Korean scene, from what I've heard, is really had no expectations. These guys, they came in as the 4th team. They've absolutely smashed it today. 17 Gaming, though, on the other hand, who had a great first day, have had a really bad second day.
Yeah, they haven't started too well. But this is a total leaderboard for Group B and C.
Yeah,
this is
it's a little misleading.
Yeah, it's a little bit misleading because they've added the points from Group B from the first day. So you do see Africa Freaks with 82 points when they haven't obviously got that in day 2. That's added up to day 1. Brazilian Crusaders catching up a little bit. They did have that win. I'm happy for them.
There's some big ones, though. I mean, obviously, Ents just had that massive performance. They needed all those points because they only have 3 games left now before we start hitting elimination stage. OGN, Entus, and Tempo Storm, OMG, all these teams down here haven't even hit double figures. And that we're talking about, the desk we're talking about, I think it's like 5 points an average is what you're looking at, or actually above 5 points average every game.
Yeah,
so that you can see they're already way below average. And that's some big teams down there.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's nice that you picked up on the fact that the teams from Group B, that is their score from yesterday as well. Do you think that's adding a bit more pressure to them? We see AFF at the top of the scoreboard.
I mean, but overall, obviously, you've got to be thinking of, say, shoot to kill, right? They had that massive performance. I think 78 points, which is a monster. So actually, they're at the top, despite the fact some of these teams have already played 9 games. They've only played 6, and they're still at the top.
Yeah,
shoot to kill is probably watching the games and is like, oh, that's only Africa Freaks have catched up to us. So they're like, oh, we're super comfortable. We still have 6 games to go, and feeling good. Yeah.
Well, they were a team that not many people really thought would do too much. They just about managed to squeeze into this tournament. They got 4th place, I believe, in MPL. Is there any other teams that you think have kind of come out of the woodwork and really shown their stuff so far?
I mean, NIP and Windstrike are both having a good day today. I believe they're 2nd and 3rd or something like that.
NIP obviously started off with a win, didn't they? Game 1.
Yeah.
Not game 1, game 2, sorry.
I'm talking about that. They're the lower seeds. They came 3rd and 4th in the leagues. And it feels like it's a pattern this tournament so far. All the top seeded teams are struggling a little bit to adjust or having bad games. And the lower seeds, maybe they don't have that pressure. It's like, people expect us not to do that well anyways. And they'll just, let's play our game, and it's working out for them.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I just want to pick up on OMG today. That's their first day of games. It's been a rough one, right?
Really rough one. And I've covered esports for a very long time, and I'm well aware of how the Chinese social media will be onto them. They're going to be sat there having their lunch break, sure, but they might be just popping the phones out and looking at, I guess, WeChat in China. Obviously, they don't really have Twitter. But they are going to be getting a lot of heat from back home right now. The fans are brutal in China. I believe James found out just how brutal the Chinese fans can be when he said a few things on Twitter last night.
And something as a player myself, I think when you are having bad games, you should never be looking at social media
Yes.
whatsoever,
Yeah.
specifically if you're playing in the day, because one little thing can affect you mentally, and it can just go over to the games, and you just don't want any distractions whatsoever, whether it's negative or sometimes even positive.
It's
You
hard
know,
to
just
keep
stay
that phone
grounded,
away.
focus on the game, and play after the lunch break. You know.
I mean, as a player yourself, Scream, what else can you do when you're just having such... I mean, I know they've only played 3 games. It's only halfway through the day. What do you kind of do to sort of revitalise yourself and your teammates as well? Because it's not just you on the team. You've got to do it for all throughout the players as well.
Yeah, you just have to isolate the actual issues that you are having, like really focus down. Is it miscommunication? Is it your drop location? Is it the strategy? And or just individual mistakes? You just have to sit with your team and let's say it's only been 3 games. Like we have 9 games to go still for the group stage. So just focus on each game one by one and just try not to be tilted. Because a lot of people do get tilted quite a lot. And in a game like PUBG, it's so mental. Like you can get unlucky circles, right? You can play it as perfectly as you want, but sometimes it just doesn't go in your favor, right? And you can't just dwell on it. You just have to focus on the next game, and eventually it'll settle out.
The problem is they've been dropping Kumasera. They've got it all to themselves. They've had nothing like that. It's just been... They've just run into teams. They've got to look back at it. I mean, obviously, on the flip side, we've got the North American guys, Tempo Storm in there.
Yeah.
They're in a similar situation. You know, this is a team that just dominated the MPL. Absolutely smashed them to smithereens. It wasn't even within question. Even going into the final week, they'd already won the league. Like, they were just having fun. And not only that, they've won every single tournament. They've won lots of money in America and dominated it. All the championships and competitions they did, they were picking up these big checks and having fun on social media. Every picture they had, there's a giant check behind them somewhere along the line. They're now having a really bad time, though.
Yeah. They really are. I mean, also, I just want to talk about Ents as well. Obviously, it's their second day coming into it, so it's a bit different. But first day wasn't that great of a showing, considering how much people had hyped them up, right, coming from PEL.
Yeah, and I think that's just the occurring theme. I mean, you have OP Rangers, who were #1 Korean seed. They ended up 10th place on the first day. Ents were 11th place on the first day. And today, on the second day, we have OMG that are placing well, and Tempo Storm. All the top seeds from NA, Korea, Europe, and China are all bombing out on the first day. And I think it's 2 parts to it.
Is it the pressure, though? Is it just pressure?
I think it's 2 parts. I think first part is maybe a little bit of mental, like the expectations of your whole region expecting you to do well, and and you might hesitate in your calls because of it, because people expect you to do well, right? If people didn't expect you to do well, you just play your own game. If you make mistakes, you make mistakes. It doesn't matter.
How did you deal with it? Because you went into PGI with Team Liquid. I can see Ibiza and Co are all off the side at the moment, but you went into PGI as the #1 European team, and you guys actually did well at PGI. So how did you guys handle the fact that you're going to have that pressure, that expectation on you, especially from Europe, which is a massive scene, considered one of the best scenes in PUBG?
And I think that's my opinion why Liquid is why we did so well. I think is they have one of the strongest mentalities when it comes to PUBG, and all of the teams around the world. I think they can really refocus onto the next game if they have a bad game, and they don't get tilted. I've played with them. They don't really get mad at you. There's no like communications after it. Maybe sometimes here and there, but for the most part, they go into the next game completely fresh. And a lot of teams kind of struggle with that,
just
with emotional side.
Mental wipe.
Yeah, and that's a thing that Liquid has been so good at for such a long time, and that's why they've always performed at a global stage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I kind of want to go on the flip side here and talk about a team that started off very strongly today, and I don't know what happened. Brazilian Crusaders, they won the first game.
I can tell you what happened. It's the curse of Scoom.
Oh, no. Did you do something,
No,
Scoom?
to be fair, he talked about them in the opening of the show. We were talking about Andy FPS, right? Yeah. Or AIM 1 FPS.
It's Andy FPS, yeah.
It is Andy FPS. I'm not sure was it and 1 FPS? I'm not sure the exact pronunciation of it. But talked them up, and obviously they had a cracking first game. But I will say they were kind of gifted it. ended 18 if you go into elimination, and then obviously you're another 12 after that. So while it's like, yeah, we got to win, boy, have we got a lot of work to do still. It's kind of that
it's also
whole
probably
mentality.
language barrier as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Totally.
they are from Brazil, so they speak Portuguese, and
They
the Portuguese
speak
crowd
great
are
English,
really
those guys
loud.
do.
Yeah, they're really loud, and they have really high energy. The Brazilian Crusaders and their fans, so it's probably like a mixed. Just speaking English for them might be a struggle to show their true emotions, right?
No, that's so true. And I mean, that's a good thing to pick up. There are teams from all around the world here. What do you think that kind of means for how teams are performing? Because we've obviously seen them in their regional qualifiers in PL and MPL, but now they're coming in to face a ton of other people, right? From completely different regions who have completely different play styles. What do you think that means? Do you think we're going to see any people that are struggling kind of changing up their game style?
It's interesting. We've seen most of the teams have come in with the same style that they've played in their leagues, but what they are having to do is adjust to what's around them. That's what we're starting to see. So NIP, for example, have had TSM next to them all season long, but now they're suddenly. We obviously look at yesterday in 17 gaming in San Martin. They've had this freedom of the city. Suddenly, we start day one here. We have 17 NIP and 4 AM, and it's just like, oh, that's too many teams in one small area. And so they all sort of this domino effect happens as NIP sort of pushed out, which actually surprised me. NIP gave up San Martin so freely, but then they pushed into 4 AM, and then 4 AM pushes over, and then it ended up like people were dropped. I remember game 2 we were looking at 4 AM, like they were all over the place. And Entus were kind of spread as well. It was just like these weird drops. We were like, what is happening? Yeah.
I mean, that's a great segue into what we were talking about just before we came on air, is the drop clashes, right?
Yeah.
We were seeing so many of the teams, particularly
today. And we're going to see more.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see more. And I believe we actually have some replays of the map at the beginning of both games 1 and 2, just looking at where the teams are going. Can you talk me through this?
Yeah, this is San Martin. That's what we're talking about, Scoom. When we're on about like 17 NIP, San Martin, the central area. Nobody challenging Picado, by the way, which surprised me.
MP5 were in the group with Liquid, but they left Picado in Group A versus Group A. But yeah, I'm curious too that NIP so easily give up San Martin, because they're known for San Martin in Pro League for such a long time, and they've been playing there since the birth of Miramar, I believe.
And this is game 2. This is the adjustment, so you can see San Martin. So NIP actually switched across to TSM's drop over to the sort of Hacienda way, and 4 AM. Look at this. Look, Forever is all the way over here. We've got God V, etc. up there. And remember, 4 AM lost a player to NIP in game 1, so they made adjustments. Entus, they were kind of some north, some south. They're kind of all over the place. Maybe things. And this is PUBG. You've got it's a game of adaptation.
Yes.
Like, I know the pro teams hate that sometimes. Like, it's a game of adaptation. Forehead, play it more often, all that sort of thing. But that's what it is. It's a battle royale. You have to adapt to what's around you. And when there's 24 international teams, it's going to be who can adapt the quickest who will get through.
For sure. I mean, and specifically in Pro League, you have time to adapt. You have 60 games or 40 games that they've been used to. With that amount of games, you can take your time to adapt. But here, you only have 12 games in the group and then 12 games in the final. So if you want to adapt, you need to be quick and you need to know exactly how.
And this is why we were talking about the Chinese and Korean teams, and actually to the American teams in the qualifiers, right? How they're used to the A versus B, B versus C, A versus C, so the groups all mixed faction, because it brings these different drops. Like, for example, yesterday we had Liquid, 17, and Cloud9 all dropping into Pachinki. We're probably going to have a similar thing again when we move on to Erangel. We're going to have a similar drop, but maybe another 3 different teams.
Yeah.
So it's because these are internationally, that's where they play. And now they're coming in and multiple teams want those same spots, which is why we're seeing the clashes. It's why the format's so good.
Yes, well, definitely. I mean, just picking up on what you were talking about, adapting and being able to change your playstyle. Scream, I know, obviously, you are a player yourself. How do you kind of do that on the fly? Is it kind of up to one player in the team, or is it kind of a group decision where you see someone's dropping in your normal drop location and you go, right, we're either going to go for it or we're not, we're going to get out of there?
I mean, sometimes you do have scrims before the tournament starts, so you do get a feel what teams are actually dropping, so you're going to expect it. And normally, I mean, if you are really believe strongly on your loot location, you just stand your foot and you just fight the other team and try to find the best tactical approach to that. Some other spots, like for example NIP, let go of San Martin because they know how good Hacienda is. They've seen TSM perform so well in their league in Miramar that you can back off and just go to a different location. So you do have like plan A and plan B when you go into this situation.
And it can hurt you sometimes if you don't adapt. For example, I'm going to go back to Team Liquid because this is a big example constantly. Pachinki, throughout PL, they've had to fight Navi right at the start. It hurt them. We saw it yesterday on Arangal. It hurt them. They normally rotate at 4 to 4.5 minutes and will be in a really good compound from the very first circle. We saw them not even leaving Pachinki 7, 8, 9 minutes. They were in the blue. They're still getting caught. And they were limping out of Pachinki with level 1 helmets and vests wrecked and barely anything in the backpack. Sure, it can work because, you know, if there's 3 teams in there, you can pick up 8 kills. And that's the bonus, right? That's the perfect situation. Doesn't usually play out that way. So that's where your coaches and your stats and your analysts are thinking, is it better to fight or is it better to look at other open locations? And that's what obviously, that's the bonus of having the backroom staff, which some teams still don't have.
But to touch on that as well, I believe like the reason Liquid is going for Pachinki or going for the Lu location is because they have an end goal. Their goal is to reach World Finals and have that location for themselves.
Yeah.
They want to make a statement. They don't care if they place, as long as they place in the top end in Pro League and they qualify for FACEIT, or if they finish like decently here, the end goal is to go to Worlds and have that location, make a statement and win that tournament. They're not going to do that if they leave Pachinki and show weakness, right?
Yeah.
For them, this is like just baby steps, showcasing what they're like. They want Pachinki, and that's it.
And they had a strong enough game 1 that they could afford to do it.
Yeah.
That's the main
As long
thing. They
as
had
they're
that
staying up
20-point
there, they
game
can
1,
afford to do it,
which put them in there.
I mean, I want to talk a little bit more about those European teams. I said in the day opener, are European teams going to step up to the plate? And we have seen it in NIP and ENCE.
Yes.
I know we were saying about ENCE struggling in the first day, but they just got a chicken dinner.
They
Like, they
both-
must be pretty happy with that.
They both had wins today.
Yeah.
NIP started off strong. Not surprised to see how that fight went out earlier on today. The fight with VSG on the hills, which we thought Starlord really should have took that shot earlier. He explained it, obviously, the reason why he didn't go for that shot was because he didn't see the rest of the team, so he wasn't sure his position. But I'm not surprised. NIP were in all 4 players. All 4 players out of all the players in PEL, all 4 of them were at the top in nade damage. Because they use nades like crazy.
Yes.
And I'm not surprised to see an underhand nade starting the fight and then they go up and finish it. They're so used to doing it. However, they also nade themselves quite often, which they did in the last game now. But again, you know, moving on to ENCE, similar situation. We've covered esports a lot over the years, and throughout many, many, many games, we've seen day 1, a team struggle, and they go on to win the tournament. It happens. We've seen it, you know, throughout whatever the game is. You don't win a tournament in day 1.
No. And I mean, it's totally true with this format as well. There's so much room. There's a lot of games. And even if they don't make the final 8 in this stage, we've still got the elimination stage, right? So do you think that's kind of almost a safety net for some of the teams that may be struggling now? They might just be focusing all their energy onto, okay, if we don't make top 8, at least we've got another chance.
Yeah, it's top 16 overall of 24 teams that you've got to qualify. So if you think about it, it's a huge percentage of how many teams can actually qualify. So, I mean, ENCE were struggling on the first day, and now with this win, they're kind of putting themselves up there in the top. I think they're 5th overall. Obviously, Group A haven't played any games. But they're 5th overall, and for them, it's like, if I'm in a comfortable position for possibly going into elimination stage, they're going to be on the top ranked of that. So they're feeling good, and that's like that win today. And it's just one thing I was talking about earlier, that these top teams adapting is the thing. Like, ENCE is so used to playing against Pro League teams. They know their rotations. They know what paths to take. And now coming here, in the first day, it's like, oh, it's all so mixed with so many different teams going different loot locations, taking different paths. For them, it's like, we're so used to taking our usual rotations, and now they have to adapt.
Yes.
And whilst they're adapting, maybe watching the VODs last night, talking to the coach, they're coming in stronger today.
Well, just quickly touching on that, with Group B, we saw them playing yesterday. Now we're seeing them play again today. Have you seen any changes or specific adaptations coming from those teams?
Game 2, they changed already. Based off game 1, on Miramar, they have Tempo Storm right next to them. And when I first arrived here, they were sat next to each other in a bar, and there was a lot of banter going back and forward. Because obviously Ghost dropping in a similar location in MPL to what ENCE do. So they're like, you know what we call that? That Zampa's house. And they're just baiting back and forward. Immediately, we see in game 1, they kind of didn't really clash, but they had the same rotation paths. Game 2, ENCE completely adjusted it and said, okay, if we go that way, we're going to bump into NAP, we're going to bump into Tempo. Bit too cluttered, let's go a southern route, which we've seen them taken probably about 20% of the time max across all of PEL, these southern routes they take. They're normally always around the north and in the top. This time they adjusted. Sure enough, Windstrike, who the other Finns, are in the exact position. Tempo's not run into them, and they have a torrid time rotating because it was clustered. So Ensor have already adjusted. We'll see how they adjust on Erangel because they kind of have NIP who they've been bumping into all season in a similar situation for them on Erangel.
Well, I mean, you just briefly mentioned Erangel. Is there any teams you particularly want to watch going into this next set of maps?
Okay, we had scrims earlier on, and it was an Erangel, the first scrim of the day. They've only did one. And from what I was told by the observers, there was 4 locations that had multiple teams dropping on them. So it's going to be bonkers to start with. We'll see whether anyone wants to change.
Erangel is more limited loot. In Miramar, you can, it's much more loot around the map that you can go to split around and loot. But in Erangel, it's a bit more limited, so you're going to have to fight normally for location or send another team away and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be any hot drops. Well, not hot drops, fighting for loots. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining me on the desk. It's great to get your insight from all the games because you've really been watching those so closely.
We're bottled up there backstage.
Exactly,
we're bottled up, ready to go. That's the problem,
ready to tell me everything. Before we head into our Erangel games, we're going to get to know Group B a little bit better with this video. Let's take it away.
I think our chances will be great. Like if we just play our own game and we keep focused like what we do, I think we're gonna do great. Like we don't have that much pressure. Like we don't feel the pressure after all. We haven't played against Asian teams at all.
What kind of rotations they do and what kind of game plan they have because they play way different meta than EU or NA does. So.
我们队伍不错，我对中国队有很大的信心，概率上嘛，起码已经50%以上。
I think the competitive scene has gotten a lot more competitive overall. Like I think a lot of the teams have started removing their worst players and picking up better players, or at least in NA, that's what's been happening.
Our chance of winning are extremely high. We're a very strong team, and we're super confident that we can take this win.
就一般有观众的话，无非就是2种，要么就更紧张，或者是更兴奋。但我觉得我们队伍的话，应该会更兴奋。
We don't have a lot of experience. It's our first international tournament, but I think we can do well.
In Brazil, we already played one tournament in front of a crowd, and it was normal. Do not affect us.
会变得比较好，因为想要打得更好，会比较兴奋一点。就是因为这种场合比较不常见。
ที่คาดหวังเอาไว้ก็หวังว่าเราจะอยู่ในรอบสุดท้ายครับผมรอบ16ทีม
일단 우승 하려고 왔고 그거 우승하려고 이제 많은 준비를 해왔는데 이제 그거는 게임에서 보여주겠다.